game. It's the St. George Illawarra Dragons coming off a very, very impressive display against the Roosters. Fell short by 1 point versus the Canterbury Bulldogs, who did push the Sharks but did struggle. You've got the Dragon side on the screen. You've got Tyrell Sloan, who was absolutely unbelievable against the Sydney Roosters. You've got Matthew Fagay, Moses Uli, Zach Lomax, Max Fagay, Talatai Amon, Ben Hunt, Michael Molo, Moses Mumbai, Blake Laurie, Big BMM, Ben Murdoch, Masilla, Jack Bird, Jack DeBellin, Jacob Little, Jaden Hunt, Toby Couchman, Josh Kerr, Zane Musgrove, Jaden Sullivan, Billy Byrne, Billy Army, Fafita, and Sione Finu. Now, this is a side that I think I said it on the previous episode where I talked about the Roosters, and I said, this is a team that they play shit every single week. They show up to they show up to Anzac Day, and they put an absolute cracking performance. And that's what they did. They were down, they were out, they were buried. Everyone, I think, thought the Roosters were going to run away with it, and they pulled it back, and they pulled them back. That right edge, absolutely unbelievable. And I think the thing that hurts them the most is Moga being out. He scored a hat-trick. He hurt his shoulder. He tore apart the Roosters. That right edge, if the St. George Illawarra Dragons don't attack on that right edge every single game, sack their coach now, because that is a dominant side. Attack that side every single time. Turn it into the Alex Johnston equivalent of South Sydney. Whoever plays on that right wins, scoring a hat-trick weekly, because fuck me, they tore apart the Roosters left, right, and centre. But Baxter, what do you make of this squad in the Anzac Clash? What do you make of this squad here? And then we'll move on to the Bulldogs and wrap up the week.
Yeah, obviously, any form going into the Anzac game, you got to throw it out the window and forget about it, because it's just basically who's going to turn up on the day. Who's going to be a Dragon? It's going to be a Rooster. Only the flip of a coin. Luckily, we played 12 that day. Will decide the fate of who's winning that game. But the Dragons can play like they did in the second half for 80 minutes from now to the end of the season. I reckon they got a chance in playing finals football, and they come out second half and played really, really well to come out. And as you said, really attacked that right hand side, or the left hand side of the Roosters' defense, and really stuck it to them. So a little bit more of that. Tyrone Sloan, if he doesn't kick that ball as hard as he did, he probably scores that try. And then Dragons win instead of Rooster winning by 1. So it is what it is. As I said, to repeat that second half for 80 minutes this week, and I reckon you get the 2 points here. But as we look into the Bulldogs team list, we got Hayes Parham in the fullback role, Declan Casey and Braden Burns in the wing position, Jake Avalura and Paul Apamotti in the centres, Josh Reynolds to make his debut at 6 with Matt Burton at 7, Matt King and Tavita Pangai Jr. in the forward role, Reed Money in the hook position, Corey Waddell, Jacob Preston in the second row, Raymond Mariner in the lock position, Curtis Moran, Jaden Ockenbar, Sam Hughes, Ryan Sutton, F.A. Brown, Carl Opalou, Reese Hoffman, Gerald Skirtland, and Kyle Flanagan to make the extended bench.
Scapegoat Flanagan.
Again, I reckon he played better being the 6 because he didn't have the pressure of being the 7. But when you're losing, well, I think it was 3 or 4 games that now they're lost in a row or whatever it was, they've got to change something. And this is the week to do it. Kyle Flanagan is they've identified that this Kyle Flanagan, not the scapegoat. I think it's more so that they've got just Josh Reynolds there that can play the 6.
Yeah.
And, I don't think Kyle Flanagan is a Bulldog next year when he's off contract at the end of this year. So, as I said, you've got Josh Reynolds there that can play 6. You've lost the last 3 games in a row. You got to change something. You want to do something to get you 2 points. You got to change something, and this is the change that they're making. And if it doesn't work, well then go back to what was working. If it does work, well then Serrato's made the change for the better. It is what it is. But with this change, I'm going Dogs 1-12.
Yeah, I will say keep a close eye on number 20, Kyle Olaapu. I think there is a big chance that he could potentially come into that number 6 or that number 14, and the reversal could be Josh Reynolds going back to the bench. I just feel like, again, you've mentioned that you don't think Kyle Flanagan will be there at the end of the year. Let's be quite honest. I don't think Josh Reynolds is a long-term player, and let's be completely honest. So this could be a game where they do try to feed Carl either off the bench or the starting lineup, give him a bit of a crack, but I think I've seen enough from last week where I think at home, in front of their home fans, I'm not going to pick against the Dragons. I think I've seen enough. This Bulldogs side,
No.
man, I feel sorry for them. They've got so many injuries, and keeping their team fit, I think this is a completely different season so far. It's a completely different game if they've got all their big names still in there. But I'm going to go with the Dragons. I'm going to go in a 1-12 win at Wynn Stadium on Sunday at 4 p.m. And Baxter, it's been a long one. We've been talking for an hour 40 across all the episodes, but we finally made it to the end. So unless you have a question that you want to ask, which you haven't done for a couple of weeks, you can save it for the next episode if you want. We can move on and we can enjoy some round 9 action. We've only a day off in between.
Oh, I'll just pick your brain a little bit here. Who do you reckon who do you reckon is going to get picked for the Blues number 6 jersey game 1? If you had to go right now, if the game was to be
Are you asking me who gets it or who deserves it?
No. Who do you believe, if the game was to be played tomorrow, who do you believe will run out for the Blues in number 6 jersey game 1?
I think if the sides are picked tomorrow, this is not my opinion, it's just what I think will happen. Jerome Luai will run out in number 6. And my reasoning for that is you can't have Jerome Luai and Nico Hines in the squad if Jerome Luai is going to be the 14. But if you're going to have Nico Hines as a 14, now you can have him in the lineup. So I think personally Fittler's going to stick with the combination that's won him a series. I know it wasn't last year, but you've got to believe that Nathan Cleary has some pull in that squad. He's going to want his half partner next to him. So rightfully, wrongfully, I don't agree with it. I think Luai runs out in the 6. I think Nico Hines comes into the 14. Or, hey, maybe even a cheeky centre if Tom Trbojevic is ruled out. But some question back to wrap up the podcast. Who do you think runs out in the number 6? And as a Queenslander, who would you want to run out in the number 6?
I think it will be Luai, just being on the basis of incumbency. Nico hasn't played just yet, but I don't see a world. It's really hard to see a world where you've got a Dally M winner from the previous year not cracking either squad, regardless if you New South Wales or Queensland. I'd rather see Jerome Luai be at 6 because you just get under his skin and he just becomes a passenger in that defense line, and you just run him over him all day.
In hair growth hormones, that his hair touches his toes, so you can't tackle him. That's an absolute genius plan.
No, I'm pulling that hair. If it was me, I'd be pulling on it harder. If I was to tackle him, I'd pull on it harder because it's that long. I'd just be pulling on it.
There is so many jokes I could make out of you pulling hair, just saying, but I'm going to let it play. But
pull it out. I'm pulling it out. I'm trying to rip it out from the roots, and then just shove it straight back in his face and go, get that up here. But look, I reckon it's going to be Luai. If it's not Luai, it's Nico Hines, and I reckon they put Cook at 14. I don't reckon they'd put Luai at 14.
You reckon there's a chance anywhere in the world? Obviously, if Trbojevic is out, you think Birdo comes into the lineup, wouldn't he?
No, I thought about it.
Or does Campbell Graham go into centre and Suaalii goes on to the win?
That's where I think Freddie might lean to, given that Campbell Graham's playing really good football at right-hand centre, so he'll slide into there. And then
surely you've got to pick Nico somewhere, mate. The guy said he hates Queensland. He's almost
Nico, you put him at 6. I'll pick him at 6. I really.
But purely that comment, even if he was a shit footballer, he said he hates Queensland. Get him into the lineup.
Well, this is the thing. You guys want to play Queensland football, which is playing with 2 hookers. Now, if you're going to play with 2 hookers, you can't take on another utility player because then you only have 2 forwards.
Mate. What do you mean number 9? It's slick Nico.
Oh, what? You're going to pick him over Api Carousel Cookie?
I don't know. of Andy Coruscant makes his squad. I think we live in a world
I
where
think he does.
Damien
I
Cook
think he
takes the
does.
hooker
Just
position.
again,
But
I
Damien
think he
Cook takes
does.
the hooker position, and Nico takes the 14 position.
I reckon they'll pick Appy Coruscant just because they got the if he makes it, Liam Martin, but then Isaiah Yeo, Luai, Cleary, I reckon they'll go with that. But even in another world, I don't see how the Clive Churchill medalist from the grand final before doesn't make this squad either. So I reckon move over Teddy and put in Dylan Edwards for the long haul.
Are you willing to put a case on who gets picked at Origin?
No, we know Teddy. We know Teddy and Freddie are in bed together. Like they are.
I will be honest. I think Edwards grows up in a time where it's very unfortunate for him because of how many good fullbacks there are. You've already got 2 fullbacks playing out of position to get 3 fullbacks in the squad. So I think if one of them, I feel like it has to be Teddy.
If Teddy goes down, I reckon it's Dylan Edwards that takes his spot.
I feel like if Teddy goes down, I feel like Trebojevic or someone goes into fullback.
I wouldn't pick him. Wouldn't pick him.
He's going to be in the lineup. He's going to be in the center position.
Oh yeah, no. I leave Teddy. I'm sorry. I leave Turbo and Latrell fully fit where they are. Leave them in center roles if they're fully fit and Teddy goes down.
If fully fit, and we will wrap this up quickly because we will do an Origin preview coming up soon. But if Teddy was out, you'd want
Edwards for me.
No, but this is my thought process here. You'd put Trebojevic back to fullback so that you can put Campbell Graham in the centres. You can put Suoli out on the wing if that's the way you go. And you've got Campbell Graham playing with, I'm having to think, I think he's arguably the best centre in the game at the moment, especially defensively. But that's just my thought process of Baxter. We will have an episode. What are we in? Round 9. I'm away for Magic Round. So probably following Magic Round, we will have an episode where we break down who we think is going to make the Origin side. We'll have a discussion. We have some big things coming up, some big things planned that unfortunately I'll be doing by myself at Magic Round, Baxter, but we will get a few of your questions in. We'll definitely ask a few of those. But Baxter, mate, thank you for joining me. It's now 10:30. We started this at 8:30. It's been an absolute cracking episode. Lucky for you guys, you don't have to watch it straight. I'll cut this up. But Baxter, thanks for joining me, mate, and I look forward to a weekend of footy.
See you then.